1 year ago this weekend, Mainers were enjoying one of the best displays of northern lights in years.
That's right.
That's right. Meteorologist Christian Bridges breaks down our chances of seeing something like that again. Christian, is this something that we could see in the near future?
Potentially so, although, that was something that, we only see once every few decades.
Right.
So while we could very easily get a great northern lights display, seeing something quite to that caliber, might be a little out of reach, but still. Hard to believe it's been a year, and I'm still sad, you guys. I was out of town that weekend, and I missed it. I was so sad. But everybody here in Maine got quite the treat. I know you saw it, Jeff.
Yeah, it was amazing. When I had somebody call me up and say, hey, the Northern Lights are going on, because that's like a bucket list of mine to go to Iceland and see the Northern Lights. And I went outside and it looked like, oh, okay, I can see something going on. But until you held your phone up, I was like, are you, what? It was amazing when you look through your phone.
Yes, and I'm just glad I got the chance to see him again, because in October last year, we had a similar event with amazing Northern Lights as well. So yeah, that was just such an impressive event. Here's some pictures I have from viewers that sent them in to me. Yeah, absolutely incredible. This is from Logan. Beautiful. I mean, they were just directly overhead. You can look to the southern sky and see these Northern Lights. It was the strongest solar storm since 1989, and it was visible all the way down into places like Key West, the Caribbean. I mean, it's just crazy to see the Northern Lights that far south. I mean, there's times in Maine when we go years without seeing a truly good show of them. So to have this was really something spectacular. This is from Derek. I think this is actually out of Newfoundland, so off to our east in Canada, but still absolutely beautiful. And here's another great view from Sabattis Pond. Yeah, just incredible, all the pictures that we got in of the Northern Lights. Now, let's talk about the possibility of maybe seeing this again. It all comes down to the solar cycle, which is an 11-year cycle, and it ranges from its solar maximum to solar minimum. As you can probably guess, we are at the solar maximum, and we definitely were last year when we had this amazing display of the aurora. So when we are at that solar maximum, the sun is covered in sunspots. When we are at the solar minimum, it tends to be not covered in sunspots. So that's where we get the aurora from. The aurora chances are highest during the solar maximum when we have a lot of those sunspots. And here's a great depiction from NASA of what that looks like. Solar minimum, you can see the sun just looks nice and plain, nothing on it. But notice at solar maximum, all the little spots across the sun, and those are the sunspots. They are the things that eject all of the particles from the sun, and then when it reaches Earth, that becomes the aurora borealis. So the solar maximum phase lasts for around another year. It usually lasts about 2 years. It obviously began last year, and it very well could last through the rest of this year. So that bodes well for our chances of at least seeing the aurora again. Will we get a show quite as spectacular as we saw last year? Remains to be seen, but it is not out of the question. So, quick breakdown of how the aurora forms. Of course, the Earth has a magnetic field. You can kind of think of the Earth as a giant magnet, and the North Pole is the top of the magnet, South Pole is the bottom of the magnet. And when we get those sunspots, like we saw during and see during the solar maximum, they emit protons and electrons that travels at 93 million miles through space, hits the Earth's magnetic field, and you'll notice the magnetic field kind of comes to a point at the poles. That's the magnetic field's weakest point. So all those charged particles, that's where they're able to enter our atmosphere, and we see it on the ground as the aurora. So like Jeff was saying, Iceland, places like Alaska, Iceland, Canada, far northern Europe, they tend to see this quite a bit because they're much closer to the poles. Here in Maine, we're actually, not too far from the poles either, from the North Pole, so we get this fairly frequently as well. But to get it in far southern locations, it takes an incredibly powerful solar storm. That's exactly what we saw last May. So yeah, still, who knows if we get the chance to see something like this again quite to that extent. But more Northern Lights chances do seem likely through this year because, again, we're still at that solar maximum, you guys. So as long as that lasts, I'd say our chances are elevated when compared to, us being at solar minimum.
Yeah, that sounds good. I loved all those pictures that you were showing. I could not believe my eyes. I mean, the colors kind of varied in each one as well. Definitely some great pictures that were taken last year.
Yes. Did you get a chance to see it at any point last year, Asia?
I think I was sleeping. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I remember missing it and being so upset. So, you said the chances are there could be one maybe.
Very
Not
true.
as great, but maybe I'll be able to catch it in the future.
It is tough when you're working in the early morning, to get out and see it. But yeah, hopefully you get another shot, maybe on a weekend, Asia, so it'll work out for you.
Yeah, the thing that just blew my mind is that you're talking about the nickname of the Northern Lights, and they're seeing them as far south as Key West.
I know.
Right?
And one thing I remember when this was happening, you know, I was jealously watching on social media from Georgia because I was in Atlanta at the time, and people were at like Portland Headlight taking pictures facing south, and they were still seeing the lights in the sky. So that just shows how powerful it was. You know, you could look to the southern sky. We always tell people, look to the north, you know, that's your best chance to see it. But looking to the south to see the northern lights, I mean, that's almost unheard of here. So yeah, really, really cool.
So the big question on my bucket list says go to Iceland to
Yes.
see the northern lights, so I can still cross that off?
Absolutely.
I saw the northern lights.
Yes, you did see the northern lights,
Right.
but you know, maybe in Iceland, you know, with the night lasting
There
most
you
of 24 hours, maybe you'll have even more chances to see the northern lights.
There you go.
Well, if you've got any weather related questions, the northern lights related questions you'd like to ask our weather authority team, you can email us at weather@wgme.com.